Graduating from dental school is hard enough, but navigating into the profession from graduation to the real world has its own fair share of challenges, and dare I say, surprises. In this video, I'll be going over 5 tips for any D4 student to help make your transition from dental student to dentist as smooth as possible. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another One Mission DMD video. My name is Teham Saud, and I'm a dentist aiming to help anyone with all things dentistry. As you can tell, it's been a long time since I posted a video on this channel because since I graduated, I had to figure out where to live back in Houston, find a job, get credentialed, get licensed, and stay tuned because in a future video, I'm going to be going over all those licensing costs and kind of give you an idea as to how much it takes to actually practice dentistry in the state of Texas. Now let's get straight into it. Tip number 1, you want to learn as much as you can as a D4 dental student. This is your last opportunity to perform irreversible procedures, dentistry, on patients without a dental degree or a dental license. The only reason you're able to do these procedures in dental school is because your directors took on that responsibility of having students work under their license. This is the time to make mistakes. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn from different people. You're going to learn from all of these providers at your school who are going to teach you things you may not have heard from somebody else. And through that process of learning, you're going to be able to be putting yourself in a position to do great things. And this is going to shape the dentist that you're going to become after you graduate. So if a patient cancels their appointment with you a week in advance, it's on you to figure out how you're going to fill in that time. Are you just going to go by that week and be like, okay, yeah, I'll just take an off day and I won't go to school? If you do that, is that really making use of your time? So that's something you have to ask yourself. So if you're given a notice that a patient can't come, reschedule that appointment. Don't just let them, fall through the cracks and not be able to come back for any appointment because they canceled it. Have a standby list. Make sure that you have patients that are close by to the school that can come on a short notice if that works for their schedule. And that doesn't always work out. Finding a patient to fill a slot isn't always possible. So you got to do other things to make use of your time. Go to a specialist, go shadow, go anywhere in your dental school. There's a plethora of things that are always going on in a dental school. You can always see procedures and just learn things. I mean, in 4th year, people are studying for boards. Just make use of your time. Whatever it is, definitely be proactive. What you've learned in dental school, especially at the conclusion of your 4th year, is what's serving as your foundation. What you do in the first 3 to 5 years after practice is going to shape the kind of clinician you are and what kind of things you'll be doing for your entire career. So making use of that 4th year of dental school is super critical because it's only going to allow you to progress further or stay where you're at. Tip number 2, you want to figure out what you're comfortable with. This is pretty much piggybacking on that first tip in terms of learning as much as you can, because through that process of learning everything, you're going to know what you want to do and what you would never want to do. Figuring out all of these things is going to be able to build your competency with certain procedures. This means that you have to start creating goals before graduation. If you need more experience with molar endo, if you need more experience with surgical extractions, if you want to watch specialists do wisdom teeth extractions, if you want to work with specialists and see how implants are done regularly, if you want to know what it takes to be a provider to be able to offer clear aligner therapy, those are all things that you can do and learn about in the 4th year of dental school to, allow you to propel yourself forward as a new dentist in the profession. What's important to realize is you do not have to do all of these things to be a successful dentist. You can do as much as you want or as little as you want. It just depends on how much training and competency that you have with these types of procedures. And that's truly the beauty and uniqueness of the field of general dentistry. You can do pretty much anything if you go through the proper channels, CE, and resources to make sure that you can actually do them. Tip number 3, are you specializing? This is really important because if you figure out later in the game that you want to specialize, it can really set you back. Shadowing those specialists, being involved in on-campus clubs and organizations for these specialties is only gonna give you information that you pretty much need and allow you to have everything put together so you can have a really good application. Figure out what's the best fit for you, an AEGD or a GPR. What's the difference? What would it take to apply for them? What application service do they use? Do you have to take the GRE? What kind of routes are there if you want to become an oral surgeon? How much schooling does it take? Can you restore dental implants as a periodontist? You know, is the ortho program paid or do you have to pay for it? So you really need to know all of these things, and this video is not answering all those questions, but you need to know the answer to all of these questions if you're interested in any of these said things. Tip number 4 is location. If you moved out of state or out of your, hometown, wherever you grew up for dental school, then that might be a place you might want to consider to work after dental school, especially if you're single. If you don't have something like tying you to go back to where you came from, then it might not be a bad option to consider. Now, if you're married and you have family back in your hometown, then it might be a better fit for you to go back there. And this is why applying to the residency programs is important, because if you have your eyes set on certain locations, you'll have an idea as to what your options are going to be once graduation looms and, it's time to move again. Figuring out all of this is going to allow you to understand what's the cost of living at the place that you're looking at to practice. What kind of salary ranges are you looking at in that place you're looking to practice? How much does gas cost there? Is that some place you're going to have to look into getting an electric car or a hybrid car? How long is your commute going to be? Is it going to be a place that's typically known for public transportation, or is it something that, people just drive on their own every single day? Figuring this out definitely before January when you're going to graduate is going to allow you to have the best information to allow you to make the best decision that's best fit for you and your family. Tip number 5, start looking and applying. The earlier you start, the better. I think I've said this a million times already, but it can't be stated enough. I actually had an episode here on the podcast with Dr. Goodman from Dental Nachos where we spoke all about finding jobs, and he gave a lot of good advice, so definitely check it out.
So one of the things that really does make me sad, it happens frequently, is I get a message on Facebook that says, Paul, I left my job. It really turned out to be really bad. I go, how many jobs do you apply to? They said 2. So for people, Teham, that applied to 10 colleges and 15 dental schools, I think it's so bad that dental schools do not explain to you, you should be looking for jobs day one of D1. And then I would start applying 12 months before you finish dental school or your AGD or GPR.
So in terms of applying, you really need to look at what are your goals. Are you trying to make as much money as you can no matter what procedures you will or won't be doing? What are the pros and cons of that? Are you looking to be at a place that has a good mentor to help guide you through procedures and keep adding procedures onto your repertoire? What are the pros and cons of that? All I'm trying to get at is you got to be very strategic with where you're going to be working at, especially because it's your first job you're ever doing as a dentist. You want to start applying for jobs around October, November, the year before you graduate. A lot of people are going to say it's too soon, but if you watch the podcast and listen to Dr. Goodman explain what you need to do and why, it's not going to be surprising that this is the time frame you need to be starting to apply. So right now, October and November, you'll kind of start to see patterns with people responding or not responding. People that are willing to entertain a new dental school graduate for a particular job. And who knows, through the proper steps, you might be even able to land a job before even walking the stage in graduation. It's not 100% essential to do that, but if you go about things the right way, ask the right questions, and visit the right practices, you'll really be setting yourself up for success as early as possible. So in my next video, I'm actually going to be going over this exact tip, how to find jobs and applying for jobs. I'm going to be going through the proper steps that I went through Dr. Goodman's recommendations and kind of what it panned out to look like for me. Asking certain questions, what to look out for. All of those things we're going to be covering in the next video, so be sure to be subscribed to the channel here so you can be notified first when that video drops. Everything I just shared in this video is pretty much what I've been doing for the last 9 months. I've been working for about 3 to 4 months now, and I honestly don't see myself leaving that place anytime soon because I was intentional with everything that I did, and I believe it was the best fit for me. So I'm going to go over my particular experience in a future podcast episode, which we already have planned. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Stay tuned here on YouTube, where all our podcasts get posted here, or you can, listen on any of your podcast streaming service of choice. I'll be dropping videos twice a month consistently. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.